go? You're good. All right. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm really glad you can make it tonight. We are really excited to have you and excited to really talk about what this revision means for our community. And it really is a community conversation. So this is a really welcome place for you to ask your questions and to also get some feedback from us and people that maybe use the money as well. So I'm going to start off by introducing Melissa Norgard, and she is going to talk about the revision and really just the specifics of what it means and what it does currently.
Thanks, Hope. My name is Melissa Norgard. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm the Economic Development Director here in Sydney. I've been in a role about 16 months. I am a Sydney native. I was born and raised here. I went to college in Kearney. I moved back about 6 years ago with my husband. So I know what it is like being born and raised here, and I love this community, and I want to see nothing but good things continue to happen here. With that being said, LB840 is a Nebraska state statute, the only way that local municipalities are allowed to do economic development activities. Local municipalities are not allowed to use any other funds for economic development unless it's in their economic development plan and approved by the voters. So, as our current plan is written, well, let me back up 20 years. In 1997, Economic Development Plan LB840 was proposed to the voters. It was a tax increase in 1997. There was a 0.5% sales tax increase in 1997 to help fund this $300,000 that is in the Economic Development Plan for activities. With that $300,000, it's broken down to $50,000 goes to projects on the north side, $50,000 goes towards project in what we call the expanded historic district, and $200,000 is left over for basic job creation in a larger pot of money. That plan was, like I said, approved in 1997. It went back to the voters 10 years later in 2007 and was reapproved. It went back to the voters in November 2016 and was approved again to run from 2017 to 2027. So we are asking for it to be revised to be able to not only keep the $300,000 in place as that tax that was created clear back in 1997. So this plan requests no new taxes from anybody. It's not requesting any funds from any other city department to help fund economic development. It's simply asking for the City of Sydney and myself to be able to accept grant funding, donations, and other state and federal funds that can be earmarked for economic development. As the current plan is written, we're only allowed that $300,000 from the existing sales tax to do economic development activities. No other funds can be put towards those activities. If somebody came to the city and said, I have $1 million laying around, I really want to give it to you to create new jobs and keep the small businesses in the community thriving, I'd say, man, you're awesome, but I can't take your money. So it really just is giving us another avenue to increase our funding. So with that being said, as a city employee, I'm not able to state anything but facts. So that's pretty much the facts, unless anybody has any questions that would relate directly to facts. If not, Hope is going to try to field the questions and keep this as an open forum for people to get their concerns out on the tables or things that they might just not know. So any questions?
Why wasn't that included 20 years ago? I mean, was this drawn up by an attorney and it's just the way it is? You have no idea why it was never?
I don't know.
So the money that you'll be getting if we vote this in, it'll all be donations and grants, but will any of the grants, they won't be able to be matching grants. The city won't be able to match that money, right? Because the city can't put any other money towards that.
Correct. We could potentially seek out matching funds from other sources outside of city revenue, but not for economic development. And I should also mention you can't commingle money when it comes to your LB840. So if the city had $500,000 left over surplus from general fund after this fiscal year was over and they decided, well, let's put that towards economic development, you can't do that because that's not what is voter approved.
have you had any donations? The idea that somebody wanted to donate?
We have a strategy set for if the plan is approved, and I'll tell you the reason we haven't acted on the strategy yet is because if we went to a bunch of people and a bunch of people said, yeah, I'm willing to donate money, and then the plan doesn't go through, and then I have to go back to them and say, man, that's so generous, you offered me money and now I can't take it. So we do have a strategy in place for if the plan is approved, how to move forward, and some people we want to approach. So yeah.
Anything else for Melissa, just on strictly the facts of LB840? Okay, thanks Melissa.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll just open it up to comments, concerns, questions you might have, and we'll just try to field some of those. This is a safe place for anybody to voice any concerns that they have. Nice and safe, right? And we're really willing to be upfront with everything that we're doing and why we're promoting this. Everything that we are doing to promote this will funnel into our small businesses, which is really the Chamber's goal, is to make sure that this is a place that small businesses and large businesses can come and thrive and support our community members as well.
So it's not just for new businesses?
It's not, and currently with the way LB840 is written, there is $50,000 that is set aside for facade enhancement, signage, and also the retail rental assistance program that any new businesses coming in can apply for. And that application process does go through the chamber office and ultimately ends up at the city to be finalized and everybody sent out. So that's a 6-month program, and the $500 is awarded each month for 6 months as long as the business is in town for 2 years. If the business is dissolved or leaves before 2 years, they do have to pay the $3,000 back. Any other questions on that program?
And I think the way the thing was written to begin with was pretty confusing to start with. I mean, the whole thing was left a lot of questions in people's minds because it was written so.
Right, it's very formal language.
Yeah.
And really, the yes vote would mean the addition of the piece in there that adds that the city can accept donations or grant funding or state and federal funding to be used for economic development only. And that is really what the revision means. So that's what a yes vote means. A no vote would mean that there is no change to the existing LB840 plan and it would stay the same until 2027, which really limits what we're able to do. Honestly, it really limits what Melissa is able to do. And to honestly say no to a person that would like to donate money to job creation and really benefiting our community is really hindering us a lot and really hindering where we hope to go in the future.
Would the donor expect anything in return?
That's hard to say. I mean, some donors might want a plaque somewhere. I mean, it's really hard to say what they would expect in return at this point. I don't know if anyone else has any experience working
Tax
with.
credit.
Anybody
So
know?
if this passes and we get donations or grants, do you have thoughts and plans lined up? I mean, do you have that you would work on immediately?
Right, and I can say that that is one thing that Melissa is really trying to work on, is making sure that there is a plan for this money. And in the past, maybe there wasn't a great plan for it, and that's really what her position is all about, is really fielding where this money should go and what projects it really should go to benefit our community. So that is really a big part of this, and there's already things in mind that this money could go towards. It's just that it's so limited right now, there isn't a whole lot of expansion that could happen.
So, this ballot initiative basically is to just amend this document with a year extension and to add those 3 sentences,
Right.
just to allow you
Exactly.
to accept money from someone else.
Right, and that is also the great thing about LB840 is every change that is put in place on the bill itself has to be approved by the voters. So it's not like something can just happen behind the scenes and nobody knows about it. It has to be written in, and it's very strict on what stays there. And so that's why we have to have this election in the first place, is so everybody, the public knows about what we're trying to do, and so they can either approve it or deny it, vote yes or no.
Okay, just then one other comment.
Yeah, of course.
Bottom of page 6. We just need to take a period out of 300,000. It's in the funding and restrictions, I just saw that. So this program will be funded by allocating 300 decimal comma thousands.
So
There's
probably a typo.
But it's probably,
Good to know.
somebody could go, you know, it's
$300. Right,
Yeah.
Right.
6 figures, it's okay.
thank you.
But this is what the final document would look like, right? I mean, that's it, that's
Right.
those 3 revisions,
Right,
and it would change the date.
exactly.
And I guess there's some additions, because, back on page 7, there's highlighted in yellow, that's the additional matches, grants that could be allowed under this, right?
Right. And right now, I mean, that avenue is completely shut down. There are specific grants out there that are only catered to economic development. And those are completely shut off to us right now. We can't even explore those options. So to be as competitive as we want to be, and to really make sure that our community thrives, we really need this avenue to be opened up.
Is that state or federal grants?
It could be both. It's state or federal funding as the way it's written in the bill. So there are state funds that could go towards economic development, and there's federal funds that could go towards economic development. Whether that's in the case of state and federal funding or state and federal grants. Either one could be explored that way. And that's a good thing to note too, is every avenue that's explored, there might be some that don't work for what we're looking for. And it has to really fit into economic development to be applicable for this. So we might look into something, and then if it doesn't work, then we might explore other options too. So this just kind of opens the door for that. Nobody wants to spend time looking for money that we can't take and can't apply to something. So that's really the reason why we haven't been able to even look in this direction.
So basically, just give us some tools to use.
Right,
compete
more
in the
tools
market
that
part.
don't hurt anybody. And I mean, we all know what taxes are like. It's not great, and nobody wants to increase those for anybody. And this is just creating more tools, like you said, to go out and find other ways to get this money instead of creating an additional tax or increasing taxes in any way.
I think Warren Buffett trusted me.
That's actually a fine example of stuff that could possibly be out there. They have the same thing down in Chapel. They have that fund that they use to do a lot of projects down there. If we have that here, we can't use it.
Will the donor have any input?
I think that would be up to them. If I were a donor and I were willing to donate $1 million, I mean, if I wanted some certain implications with where the money was going, I would state that up front. And I think the way that this is going is Melissa would be willing to work with them on that. And if there's something that she can't do, then maybe that means that they can no longer be part of their they can no longer donate the funds for that.
And I think I'll add a fact to that, and a little bit of process behind how LB840 currently works. If you are a new or existing business in town and you want to apply for LB840 funds, you submit an application, it comes to me at City Hall. It is then sent, I take it to what's called the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Review Board. It's made up of 7 tax-paying citizens within the city of Sydney. There's bankers, professionals, small business owners, 7 community members on that board. They then review the application, they review the company's financials, and they make a recommendation that I then take to the city council. The city council ultimately says yes or no to the recommendation that I take to them. So it does go through a process of public review and public meetings, and like I said, it's all public meetings, so public can come to them and put their input in saying, I think these jobs are too low paying, I don't think we should put money towards that. And so all of that is advertised as a public meeting. We have put some criteria and some thresholds on, okay, we want you to create at least 5 new jobs, and we want you to pay your people at least $12.50 an hour. So we kind of steer away from, okay, restaurant type jobs maybe where you're making less money and generating tips and those types of things, so that we really are focusing on good paying jobs for people to have good opportunities in the community. So I will say, we have a process that we go through, so as far as giving a donor a lot of say-so into what happens, probably not that much, because we have a process that we have to follow through LB840. So.
Thank you.
They could be specific though, saying, I want this to go towards this kind of a project.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments, things that you maybe heard that we can debunk here?
Well, this is one I had heard, was that this was gonna be an automatic $50,000 increase,
That's
Two.
incorrect.
which is not correct.
No.
So this is just a vehicle to go to other outside unnamed, unknown parties right now, and you can get some money.
Right.
And,
It just opens the door. It doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't increase anything right off of the bat.
so they give to it, they get a deduction because they're giving to a nonprofit, right? City's a nonprofit organization, so.
That is correct.
I served on, I don't know if anybody here knows me, so a few people here do, kind of do in town to a degree, but.
Dan,
my
can
name's
you
Van,
speak
yeah.
up?
What's
I'm
that?
sorry, can you speak up?
Sure.
Thanks.
I'm gonna stand up, yeah. My name's Van, yeah, I've been here for, I don't know, about 4 years now, I guess. I had an insurance business in Ogallala and now one here. And for 4 years, I served on an economic development team in Ogallala called KCAP, Keith County Area Development. We were a little bit different. We were a 501c3 nonprofit, which is something I'd really like to talk to you about at some point in time. It does open some avenues up for well, tax deductible donations. But we took advantage of LB840 money there, and we did a lot of really good things with it. And we were able to get cost manufacturing to their harvest centers to put a facility in Ogallala, which we were even on the radar for the running there. It was down in McCook and Lexington. And we kind of came in at the last minute, and some of the tax incremental forward financing that's available through the economic development plan is what helped us be able to get costs in there. And that was 40 jobs. And in Ogallala, that was a lot. And we were able to use these funds as well to be able to win a bid actually against Sydney at that point in time with Tri-States Generation, which ended up being about 16 jobs, I think, which again, $50,000 a year job, that's a lot in a town of 5,000 to 6,000 people. And then that kind of steamrolled. We were able to help 21st Century John Deere do a $3 million expansion of their facility out there, which is a few more jobs. But the funds that we had available from the LB840 were what allowed us to do that. It allows us to be able to put, we had a gentleman that did what Melissa does to find these opportunities. Because they're out there. But every community in America that's less than 10,000 people, not on the interstate, is looking for the same manufacturer to fall out of the sky like a lottery ticket. And it just doesn't happen. Our unemployment's too low, right? So we don't have the ability to supply that need. But what we can get are those smaller opportunities that are 10, 20, maybe 50 jobs. And they become feathers in your cap. And when you get enough of them, you start to get on the radar for the bigger deals, because now you have a larger labor pool. But if we don't have the funding to be able to get us in the game, we can't compete for it. So I just know from my experience with what I did with the same capacity in Keith County, but we were able to use this money and get a lot of good wins, if you will, out of it. And it's already something we're paying for. So it's not like we're talking about tax increase. I know our taxes are high. It's Nebraska. It's the way it is. But we're not talking about tax increase, but we are talking about one of the few things we can actually use to probably increase our tax base. So I don't know if you guys have questions, feel free to ask me about it. I did this for about 4.5, 5 years. And it works, to be able to use that money. It gives you the ability to compete. You can't do it. Anyway, that's about all I have to say, but I'd like to see you guys be able to do this. When I came
say the forward thinking that's going on with this, with the chamber on Melissa and stuff is good. I mean, they're not sitting back just hoping that something happens. They're going out and trying to make it happen. And I think we should give them the tools they need to make it happen.
And you will be here the next 5 years to make this happen.
You better be.
See, are you still recording? I will say, my husband and I are very committed to this community. My parents still live here, I have 2 older sisters that live here, I have numerous, aunts, uncles, cousins, so we are very committed to staying here.
I think the report that I got from Kim, I asked her last week when I dropped some stuff off at the city, and she said there's about 50 people that have moved into the community in the last couple of months. The chamber does newcomer packets, and I've taken 20 over to the city just this month. I mean, well, would have been the end of July, but
There's been
There's a lot
about
to say
5
about
house
it.
sales a week,
mhm.
which is a lot. Of course, a lot of them are bargains, and people are going after the bargain. And that's their right. You can buy a $300,000 house for $100,000, why, and you want it, why wouldn't you?
And it's not in the front range where you have to put up with California
And that is where they're coming from. They're coming out of Colorado and they're tired of dealing with it over there. A lot.
I guess I would just say is, I'd encourage everyone to really get out and talk to your neighbors, your friends, your acquaintances that you know, your group that you hang with. Cause I'm all for this too, and I just think this would be good to get the word out. And if they have a question, if your neighbor or your friend is saying, yeah, but I'm not sure about this, they should call Melissa to get the facts. They should call the chamber office. And there's a lot of people that can explain how this works and how it's not going to increase taxes, how it's not going to do those things. It's there for a reason. It's there to help the economic development just do a better job, a more efficient job, and use more money to do that and bring more jobs in. Because they've done a great job so far. I look at what we've brought in from the different manufacturing jobs, and you know, I see a couple sitting here that have made a big commitment to Sydney, and I applaud them for it. And I think that's what we need, and that's what that money can do, is help that whole, you know, just help our whole community grow. Because I like the 30, 40, 50 job type of plan. I mean, that's great for our community. We pick up 10 of those type of jobs, we've got a nice employment base going in addition, so. That's kind of mine, and I would just recommend to everybody, talk to everyone and anyone over the next, you know, time period before this comes to a vote, that they should vote yes for this. And I can tell you, I'm a business owner in town, but I live out of town, so I can't even vote for it. So it's not, I look at it and say, I don't think it's fair, because I live in town and I pay taxes in town for my business, but I can't even vote for it. But I'm all for it. I think this is a great thing for our community. It's a big win for our community to add this in. Because there are a lot of wealthy donors that we could look to tap to bring money to our community and help use that funding.
Anything else? More positive comments about the revision? Well, I guess that'll be the close for that. And thank you for coming. And if you have any more questions that come up as you're talking to people, or if you hear something, someone approaches you and asks you, well, I heard this, come and ask us about it. Give Melissa a call. She can give you the facts. She can't promote it in any way, but she can give you facts. And that's also what we're trying to do too, is just shed some light on what it is. It's very confusing to receive the ballot and read it, but this is really, what we have outlined here is really what the revision's all about. So if you come up with more questions, please reach out in any way that you can. We'll be posting some more videos up on our Facebook page, just some testimonials of people that have received LB840 money and have benefited from the way that it is now. And it just kind of shows that we can do so much more too, and it's very closed off right now. And to make us competitive and also keep some more businesses and people here, we need to keep going in the right direction and to be able to also accept money in these ways. So thank you for coming. Let us know if you want more information. We have tons of information, and we can also answer your questions also.
And the ballots need to be in by the 14th, so that is
Yes.
next Tuesday.
Next week.
You can carry those in or mail them in, but make sure that they get in.
They have to be there by 5 o'clock.
And, yeah, they have to, if you mail them, make sure you allow time for mail.
So it's not postmarked on the 14th, it's received by the 14th?
That is correct.
That's what I.
Okay,
County clerk has to have it in their office by 5 p.m. on August 14th.
great.
So make sure you get those handed in and sent in, whichever way you prefer.
I want to thank you guys for hosting us. Very
course.
informative.
Thank you.
Yep, glad to have you guys.
I just wish the paper would have put the notice in the paper on Friday. 'Cause I don't think there was any notice in the paper on Friday. I didn't see it.
For the meeting, for this meeting,
Hmm?
for this meeting.
For this meeting, yeah.
This meeting was it came about quite rapidly. So the deadline for the paper would have been on Wednesday, and we pretty much set this up on Thursday. So we had a very quick turnaround time. So that's something that we'll kind of keep in mind if we ever have any legislative changes in the future. We'll keep this on the radar for offering community forums, because I do think they're very beneficial, and sooner rather than later too. So if there ever is something that needs to come up again that we need to vote on, we'll keep this in mind and offer it and promote it a lot more to community members too. But thank you all for coming anyway on such short notice, and we're very glad that you decided to spend